Hello, how you guys doing? James here. I hope you're doing well. Well, I thought about something tonight, and something occurred to me about the as human beings, what we go through, and as far as temptations in life, as far as sexual encounters and things like that. Um, did you know that humans and there are people in it or having relationships with people in the afterlife, but what they think they
Now,
have?
as a person
Here
who
it is.
in ministry that does deliverance, we came across that many times of praying for somebody who claimed to have a demon, have sex with them during the night. Sometimes people who even have children in the spirit realm, but who cannot have children in the physical, who have no affection between their husband or their wife, and some who cannot even get married, including stories where a person would feel something raping them or something has a violent sex with them, not only in the sleep. Remember even knowing or hearing about a person, an encounter where she went to the mall and something was taking control of her physical body. This demon was torturing her by having sex with her in the mall. And so now, this may seem bizarre, far-fetched for some of you, like this is completely crazy, but this is not new. Almost every person who does deliverance will tell you that they came into an encounter with somebody that they prayed for deliverance in this area. Now, is it biblical? Does the Bible talk about? Let's take a look. In Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14, it says, "The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with jackals, and the wild goat shall bleat to its companion. Also the night creature shall rest there, and find for herself a place of rest." And night creature. Now in your Bible, if you're reading that, it will have a little thing on the top of that night creature, and then if you look below in the footnotes, it will say Lilith, night creature. Now in most of the religions of this world, they had these demons, they call them incubus and succubus, where this male demon or male entity that will come in the sleep and have sex with women, and this female entity that will come and have sex with men, seduce them, sometimes steal their children. And so there was a lot of myths that were going on both in Jewish culture and in other cultures. But these are not myths, these are realities of things that people are battling with and people are struggling with. We see that in book of Genesis chapter 6 that spiritual entities, the sons of God, and I believe, like many people believe, that this is not, sons of God are not necessarily the descendants of Seth, but sons of God, these are the angels, these are people who were part of God's divine council, people who were a part of God's team, God's, part of the hosts. They started to come on the earth and they started to make love to women. They started to have physical relationships with women. And Jude tells us, the half-brother of Jesus tells us that because they crossed these boundaries God has set for these sons of God, these spirits, then God eventually punished them and he locked them up in the prison. Now, it's possible for evil spirits, for demonic spirits, to be able to have this kind of a sexual relationship. Spirits can take on a physical form. We see that angels can take on a physical form. They can walk, they can talk, they can eat, they can have their feet washed. And we see the same thing with demons, is they can also take on a spiritual form. These spiritual entities would come and have sex with women, and there will be an offspring that will be produced. These giants, these Nephilims that will be produced. Now this thing continues today, where demons have sex with people. Now, not necessarily that physical children are produced, but they impregnate these people with spiritual perversion. They impregnate this person with spiritual confusion. The offspring of these encounters, they last through the day. Sometimes they destroy relationships, they destroy marriages, and they destroy a person's peace and ability to function. Because Satan's ultimate goal is to bring restlessness and to disconnect you from God and from other people. Now, even St. Augustine in the City of God book, he mentioned, and I'm going to quote, "There is also a very general rumor. Many have verified by their own experience, and trustworthy persons have collaborated the experience told by others, that Selvans and fauns, commonly called incubi, have often made wicked assaults upon women. So meaning these incubus and succubus, the incubus is pretty much comes from the Latin word and nightmare induced by a demon. It takes a form of a man and it makes love to a woman. And succubus, it's pretty much similar word. It takes a form of a woman to have sex with men. And sometimes, as in Isaiah we see, it's the creature of the night creature, the demon of Lilith that comes in and has these intercourses with the person during the sleep and torments them as well through that and causes division, restlessness, and lack of peace. Now, these spiritual sexual spirits or spirits that cause this thing in the sleep, they can molest and torment individuals. A lot of times they can also cause wet dreams and orgasm. They cause a person to be emotionally drained because it's like a spiritual rape. And this dream sex can be so intense, and actually in some cases it could be addictive. This dream state results in sexual orgasm, it followed by guilt and a lot of times condemnation and accusation. These evil spirits, they delight in inflicting pain, fear, and mental anguish. And a lot of times people cannot get married, or their marriages end up in divorce, or they have no affection, or they have no sex drive for their spouse. Now, I'm not in any way saying that if you're battling with any of these things that I just mentioned that it must be that, but if you have something that comes to you at night and something that takes on the face of someone else and has sex with you in the sleep, and this continues regularly, you're battling, you're struggling with wet dreams, and you're waking up and you feel like, man, I just had an orgasm in the sleep, and this is something that is repeated, and you're watching also pornography, or you're battling with lust or other things, you're dealing with the spirit that is very common, and almost every person that I know that does deliverance has one time or another dealt with this in delivering people from demons. And once the people were delivered, all of this nonsense stopped. The married folks, a lot of times they would find their love and affection for each other, and those who are not married, many times God will bring them to marriage, because these demons will hold them back, because these demons are very jealous of you being with somebody else. They're almost like attached themselves, and they're very jealous of you being with somebody else. Now, they usually can come from 5 sources. One of them is witchcraft. Witchcraft spells, potions, love potions, and other curses of lust. It's when somebody casts a spell on you, maybe somebody who wants to be with you, or somebody that you broke their heart, or they wanted to be with you but they couldn't, and so they go to a witch doctor, or they go to a wizard, and they cast spells upon you, and they cast all kinds of potions, love potions on you, and then as a result you start having these bizarre experiences where these demons now do not allow you to enjoy love relationship with anybody else. The second open door to these sex demons and to these spiritual spouses is through sexual sin. Fornication, pornography, adultery, bestiality, homosexuality, lesbianism, or any other acts, sexual acts, including viewing and consuming pornography. They open doors for these sex demons. These demons have an intense appetite for perversion. They have a huge, unsatisfiable appetite for sexual perversion and sexual immorality. It's almost like they feed off of that. But sexual sin is an open door for spirit spouse. Number 3 is they're generational. In some cases, these demons passed on through the bloodline. These demons, because of previous generations, had something that had to do with witchcraft, or it had something to do with sexual perversion or rape or molestation or human sacrifice, that these demons go from one generation to another until somebody rises up and says enough is enough, it was running in the family until it ran into me, and puts a stop to that and breaks its grip over their life and over their future generations. Number 4 is this demon can also enter through abuse and molestation. Perversion attaches itself to the person, and then the person becomes a victim. And then, yes, it's not their fault, but because of that act of abuse, because of that act of molestation, this demon, he doesn't play fair, but he saw that abuse as an open door, and and he enters into that person and destroys that person's life. I remember praying for, we were ministering to one girl who was bound by a demon of lesbianism that entered through molestation. Somebody in her family molested her, one of the uncles, and after that this demon entered her. Now, humanly looking at that, you're like, but the demon should enter the guy who did it. Well, the demon didn't need to enter that guy. That guy already had a demon, otherwise he would never do that. But when he had that physical contact with that person, not only that is a penetration and intercourse, it's also a transference of a spirit, because demons get transferred through sex. There's no condom that can protect you from a demon, and especially through abuse. It's that weak point where demons enter, and the person needs to find healing, and the person needs to find also deliverance, so that anything that got attached to them can be broken up, especially a spirit spouse. And the last open door is soul ties. And I have another video that deals with soul ties, what they are, godly soul ties, ungodly soul ties, and how to break soul ties. It's when you had maybe even not even a physical relationship, but a strong emotional, this like very very dependent relationship on somebody else, and this person walked away from your life, and what's left now is your soul is broken into fragments. Like it says in Psalm, it says that the enemy, like a lion, walks in and he wants to tear your soul to pieces. And the enemy takes advantage of that weak point, and he comes in as that spirit spouse and begins to bring torture and begins to bring torment, and a lot of times rape and orgasm and all of this stuff. It just confuses your mind, causes you restlessness, and then you're not able to function really well, and you're affected by that all the time. What do you do if you're battling with that? Maybe you're watching this right now and you're being attacked by this spirit spouse. You're being attacked by this demon, this sex demon. What do you do? Let me share with you just a few practical pastoral advices, and somebody who believes in the ministry of deliverance. I believe that God can set you free. But number one, you need to devote your life to Jesus Christ. Why? Because first and foremost, when your life, not just praying a sinner's prayer, but I'm talking about devoting your life to Jesus Christ, your body then becomes his real estate. When you devote your life to Jesus Christ, your spirit becomes his headquarters. Number two is you have to declare your body as the real estate of the Holy Spirit. Not only devote your life to Jesus, but declare your body as something that belongs to the Lord. You're like this mobile temple of the Holy Spirit. You're this, portable temple of the Holy Spirit. You have to declare that to the enemy. You have to declare that in the spirit realm, that I am a property, a real estate, bought by the blood. I belong to the Lord. Mm-hmm. Number three is renounce the spirit of incubus and succubus. Renounce the spirit spouse. Renounce this sex demon. Just renounce it. Just break its grip over your life. You have the authority in the name of Jesus. Number five, abort anything that they plant, or number four, abort anything that they planted in you. What happens sometimes is this demon, when it has sex with you, it plants in you confusion. It plants in you like this seed that then grows up into be a Nephilim, aka Nephilim. Like they become like these confusions in your life. You might not give birth to real children, but you're going to give birth to perversion. You're going to give birth to lust. You're going to give birth to defeat. You're going to give birth to broken relationships. You're going to give birth to its companion.
Okay. You see why, for example, somebody gonna find it's offensive. That's why when we talk about sexual things, it's not just in the LGBTQ community, but it's in a heterosexual community. That these spirits, no matter what, like the man said.
Indian. Also, the night creature,
like this guy was saying, is that's what I said. We, as believers, we don't have nothing against people that live, because all sexual sin, but that's where it started from. So when the world takes something and they pervert it, where two men, two women are married together, there's a spirit behind it that's causing. You see two men are married, two women are married, like a heterosexual couple, which was out of order, the design of the Most High God, the two demons. infinitive men, demon. So, and then men who sleep with a lot of women, a woman sleep with a lot of men, that's another thing. It's all sexual. So no matter if it's heterosexual or it's homosexual. Just get, you know what I'm saying? If you man sleep with a lot of women, or woman sleep with a lot of men, you're just as guilty as the man who sleep with men and the woman sleep with women. And that produces what he was talking about. That's how they attach to you. This is the reason why. But it's not just among Christians. Watch this.
Hey, you work here?
No, kid.
Every shoe for every athlete, only at Dick's.
Can jinn fall in love with human? Yes, they can do. There are numerous stories of spirits or jinns and attach themselves much like humans try to do when they fall in love. A famous Muslim jurist who wrote a treatise on a jinn named the son of Tamiya. The story goes that one day in Egypt, a man take his wife to an Islamic exorcist, Rabi. He believes that she is possessed by a spirit jinn, since she was behaving very strangely. The Rabbi questioned the man as to his wife's behavior. He said that she was being aggressive and angry and would not let him approach her. This was quite out of character for his wife to behave in this way. The exorcist started to read Quranic verses over the woman to find out if one jinn or more had attached themselves to the woman. During the session, the Iraqi found that in fact the woman was possessed by a spirit. He asked the jinn why he had entered the woman's body and if he had any rights to be there. The jinn relates that while he was wandering through the streets of Mecca in the time of Hajj, he sees a beautiful woman with her husband. He followed the couple to their lodging and enters the home with them. The wife undresses and walks naked around the bedroom, upon which the jinn is overcome with lust, that he enters her and attaches himself. He has fallen in love and takes the woman as his wife. For the remainder of Hajj, the jinn does everything he can to keep the real husband away from the woman whose body he has possessed. After completing Hajj, both man and wife return to Egypt with the jinn still having possession of his wife. The story ends with the exorcist finally convincing the jinn to exit the woman's body. The jinn leaves and the woman returns to her normal condition. This is a type of jinn-human relationship whereby the jinn generally force humans into their possession. It is usually women who are prone to this situation. The jinn generally establish this connection, especially with short-tempered, nervous women, following birth-giving or during illnesses with high fever or accidents. This is because during such periods, the brain is busy with the extra activity taking place in various parts of the body, and the person is thus unable to competently control their brain. As a result, the jinn take advantage of this weakness and manipulate that part of the brain. They then appear to the person in whatever form they like and force the person to do whatever they desire. In such scenarios, women have reportedly claimed the jinn who appeared to them was an extremely handsome man. The jinn who establish such connections with women or young girls usually marry them and engage in activity during which these women see and feel the jinn with whom they are interacting as a solid physical person as if it were a human male. However, as the jinn do not have a tangible physical body, inevitably the following question comes to mind. How on earth can a jinn who cannot even become completely physical manage to satisfy a woman with a physical human body? In such conditions, the jinn stimulate the centers in the brain responsible for sexual arousal. All scientists who work in the field of physiology know very well that when an electroshock is applied to a certain center of the brain, it is possible to make a person feel and do whatever you want. In all of these cases, the common trait is that it is always a member of the jinn that forcefully initiate the contact with a human, simply for the purpose of fulfilling their selfish desires. In most of these situations, especially when a connection is made between a human woman and a jinn man, the woman isolates herself from the world around her and retreats into a room. If the jinn with whom she is in contact is an atheist, he prevents her from taking a bath. On the other hand, however, sometimes the opposite takes place, whereby the woman wants to bath all the time. In order to easily deceive humans, the first method the jinn prefer is to cut the person's ties to the source of Islamic knowledge, as the most comprehensive knowledge on the jinn is found in Islamic sources. Once the person is deprived of this knowledge, they become such susceptible, giving the jinn a significant advantage over themselves. Surely, one cannot take precaution against something about which they have no knowledge. The jinn prevent people from acquiring knowledge about them, lest they take precaution. There are many reasons why a jinn would interfere with humans, but there must be a reason. In all the following cases, there are always three possibilities. The jinn may be inside the body of the person, outside it, or going in and out the person's body as he likes. When he is inside the body, he may possess the person and speak through him. This may be permanent, periodic, or occasional. 1. Sorcery. The most frequent reason is sorcery. Sorcery does not need to be accompanied by a jinn, but jinns are sometimes sent to strengthen the effect of sorcery. For example, to break up a couple, the jinn can give the man a disgusting or frightening appearance in the eyes of his wife. To prevent someone working, it will get the employer who will reject him or not trust him. But the most that jinns do is to mentally disturb the victim. He will get no ending thoughts and obsessions, as if someone is speaking in his head all day long. They also often play a role in illnesses and physical pains to disturb the body's natural functioning. Jinns sent by sorcery are forced to do the job. They may be good, true Muslims, or wicked and unbelievers. The good ones will do the job with reluctance, and the wicked one will add more. In Africa, particularly, there is a long tradition of cooperation between jinns and sorcerers. As the original religion is worshipping statues and jinns through river, wood, or sea, and sacrificing animals for them, and offering various gifts, jinns have developed a science of serving sorcerers and accomplishing astonishing things for them. So there will be jinns with nearly every sorcery. For example, the victim could completely lose his mind by sending thousands of jinns into him. So nearly all the jinns you find in ill people are professionals working for sorcerers. 2. revenge. Jinns live around us. There are many in disused and uninhabitable places. Dirty and human places are especially habitated because jinns find their food in the remaining meals and excrements. They're also especially in old and ill-maintained house, but also in new and well-maintained ones. By living around us, they avoid us. But a single brutal action without saying Bismillah, or throwing something away, or pouring hot water might reach them and harm them, or cause handicap or death. They can retaliate or avenge one of their relatives by beating the person who inadvertently harmed them. The person may be partly paralyzed or heavy. He may be anxious or depressed or other manifestations. This often goes with nightmares. The person is beaten or prosecuted by scaring people. Jinns have less reason and more passion than we do. They have 3 strong passions: pride, love, and vengeance. Jinns can devote his whole life doing nothing but retaliating against a person. 3. Love. This happens when we undress without saying Bismillah. Jinns see us naked and can be sexually stimulated like when we see undressed persons, because there is a kind of compatibility between jinns and human beings. I mean, if you just undress without saying Bismillah, that endangers you to catch jinns. But having any kind of forbidden or shameful activity is an open door for jinns to join in, and they may get linked to the person. Most of the time, the person will have dreams. Generally, these dreams are not difficult, but rather pleasant for men, because the jinniya appears as the ideal woman for the man. If it is a woman subject to the jinn, if she refuses or resists, she can be and blocked. Many people feel this. We feel blocked while going to bed, and we are freed as soon as we make a move or we pronounce the name of Allah. The jinn that appears in the shape of the husband to cheat her, and once the act is over, she realizes, but it was not him. When the person is married, the jinn sometimes accepts the spouse, but most of the time, he does not bear him. Therefore, the person will not bear him too. This happened mostly to women. The wife may be upset, cry, and it'll end up in dispute.
So we see that it's not just in Christianity, it's in Islam. So this thing with spiritual, that's why, believers, people come to you and want you to basically connect with you spiritually, to try to get you to go to church or something like that, because there's some people going through this and they don't know why. And that's why I played this video, because somebody, and what really sparked it off was, well, let me show you this video. This girl, this young lady, claims that she fell in love with a ghost. But not only that she fell in love with a ghost, her and her other friend got real close, and they formed a lesbian relationship. Check this out.
Fellas looking for a quarterback? Let's go! He's due bring out now. Dix is the GOAT.
Your score is higher than a giraffe on a pogo stick.
And no credit for everyday purchases.
That's a big perk.
This is Rebecca. She fell in love with Catherine. Hello. Who's in this space right now?
But before meeting, Rebecca was already in a relationship with Rupert, a ghost.
Are you here by Rebecca?
How do you balance your friendship with Rupert without getting jealous?
And their otherworldly connection has been judged by those still alive on TikTok.
Can you chill the out? Some of the comments we get are, "You're crazy. I must be, or you must have, schizophrenia."
Today they are asking Rupert how he really feels about sharing his partner.
How do you feel about Catherine? Personally speaking, I've never heard a ghost say, "Ooh," but I have heard a ghost say, "Help me, get off my grave," and things like that.
I'm Rebecca. This is my partner, Catherine, and I have been judged before because I am also in a relationship with a ghost. His name is Rupert. I met him in front of a local historic home. He was a Revolutionary War soldier. He is originally from Wales, and when I met him, he was wearing a red coat. He was standing right here. I was walking past. He was following a ghost tour that I had just led, and he called out to me, and he asked me if I was walking home alone. He asked if he could escort me, which kind of gave me stranger danger vibes because that had never happened to me before, especially from a ghost. But he seemed okay. He seemed really nice. And so I was like, all right, I'll give you 5 blocks. We both had to learn each other's languages. He had to learn how I was psychically perceiving him with respect. He started hanging out more where I was living. He was always very clear on boundaries, on wanting consent. He never wanted to press being inside or anything like that. He started to refer to me as someone he knew when he was alive. I did a past life regression and I did know him. I knew him back in 1781 when he was stationed here as a part of the 82nd Regiment. He and I used to be married when he was alive. I've had this cross-validated from other hypnotists and psychic mediums. Well, the feelings weren't expected. They just sort of happened.
What is your intimate and relationship like with Rupert?
Exactly, no. Rupert and I are primarily sharing emotions because of the very clear physical differences between us. He is acknowledging that I'm here in the physical. I need to live a life here in my present. So that's where, well, the open-mindedness to you came into play.
We met on TikTok. I found Rebecca and I thought, wow, this is great.
We met in person a year after we had started talking. Yeah. I took you on a tour. It was like 11 p.m. at night and we're walking around downtown and I was like, this is where this happened and this is where this happened. You met Rupert that night.
I met Molly.
You met Molly, Jimothy, George.
I met everybody. I got to meet all of those ghosts.
We became best friends and then we stopped ignoring how we felt for each other.
Rupert and I are friends. We've hung out, we've had conversations, we've gone on trips together.
How do you balance your friendship with Rupert without getting jealous?
There is no jealousy. I have such respect for the work that was done, for the connection that they have. If anything, I feel like excitement and pride for the both of them.
You went to him and you checked with him on things. You told him your feelings for me before you told me.
I did.
You really?
I absolutely did. I was like, please don't hate me. But...
Ready?
Ready.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Surprise live!
Surprise!
I'm going to do 3, 2, 1. Where do you pick up on him? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, okay, also felt him behind you, yes. I started posting skits online on my experiences with talking to ghosts, and they blew up. It's been really cool.
Some of the comments we get are, "You're crazy."
They're letting everybody out of the asylums nowadays.
That's a really good story that you just made up.
A lot of people are like, clearly she's lying, but I really enjoy the stories.
Find Jesus. Accept accept him into your heart.
All in caps.
You're talking to demons.
All ghosts are demons.
The things that would make me go, no, would be people trying to pretend to be an internet expert about mental health and discerning that obviously I must be, or you must have, schizophrenia because there's no way that this could be a thing that's happening.
Wow.
Somebody has something to say about that. Can you chill the out? You don't have to like me. You don't have to watch me.
Right.
You can block me. It makes no difference to me. The overwhelming response is positive. People are very supportive.
What's worth it to me? The amount of people who come forward and they say, you made me feel sane, thank you.
It was really like a community built on people that says, oh, I thought I was losing it. Thank you for talking about this. Or thank you for helping me not be afraid to die.
We will be going to a local cemetery, which both of us enjoy visiting, and talking to some of the local spirits there. It's something we do for fun as well as do for content.
Asleep in the arms of Jesus. I guess Jesus has a lot of arms.
This is a good spot. So should we take a check and see what's going on in my magic bag of tricks?
Oh, did you brought things?
I did.
Okay.
Hello. Hi. Who's in this space right now? No, like a physical lake.
Oh, like you want to move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a direction that we should go?
Feeling that way?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I'm feeling.
So, it's kind of like a movie.
I've had a number of people try to contact me and say, Rupert's talking to me. And I'm like, no, he's not. And I'm concerned about who you're talking to.
He has a light accent, though it's not specifically the accent that we would associate with the English now, just because it's been almost 300 years.
This is an S-Box. It is one of my favorite pieces of equipment that I have. As it scans through radio signals, it's giving a white noise that they can either pull sound from to respond with using the radio signals coming through, or it'll come through the static.
What do I have to do to get you to say something?
Did you just hear a call down? Hi, Rupert.
Where are you sitting right now?
On this chair.
What is his personality like? How would you describe it?
Thoughtful and contemplative.
Yes. He doesn't speak without thinking about it. A lot. How do you feel about your relationship with me?
I love you.
Is that what that was?
I think that's what it said.
That's great. I'm appreciative. How do you feel about Catherine? I heard fine.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Casey leader went on fine. How do you feel about how we get along? All of us.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I heard I'm fine.
There was a moment where it was just like, fine. Fine. I love Rebecca for her talent. I feel very privileged to be in this sphere with her. She is like a star, and I am just gazing up at this point. How do I You don't. Shut it. Boom. Mic drop. You're fine. Deep breath. Deep breath.
What I love about you the most is how you make me feel seen. I don't worry about the future with you. I'm so caught up in how happy I am in the present.
We often say that the future is malleable, and because of that, the future is what we make it. And I think what we're making here is unique.
Are you here?
Been judged.
By Rebecca.
Well, let's talk about it. So, you hear what the man said in the first video, and you see what happened in the second video. This stuff is real. And I believe these young ladies. I really do. By the first video. The first video explained it on the on a biblical scale. And what are people doing right now? Communicating with the dead, necromancy. And you see how she must have been doing this before, so now it attached itself to it. The spirit did. I experienced this myself. That's why I know personally that this stuff is real, and I had to get deliverance from it. You know, and any type of sexual sin opens up the realm. Any type of sexual sin, even in certain places in the Old Testament, when they would do temple prostitute, they would, in order a form of worship, they would have sex. And this is in the Old Testament. And so that's part of it. See, everything that repeats from the past, it never goes away. It just takes different transform. So me showing this is trying to open people's eyes up and know that the spirit realm is very real. But I played the video with the first guy to let you know, and that even in a religion like Islam, that was the incubus, that was an incubus spirit, but they call it jinn. And if he's having, and then the couple was dealing with what they call a familiar spirit. This is the spirit that walked the land at one point in time. It took a form of that young man 300-something years ago. They take on the personality of what they want. These spirits never die. The spirit realm is very real, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very real. And the church is kind of really, some churches doing a disservice not talking about and not dealing with, because you're dealing with a spiritual warfare. We are in the midst, there's a physical warfare and there's a spiritual warfare. So this is the reason why I think some churches, they need to address this. And because there are people struggling with this. And that's why it's very important for men to find him a woman to be a wife, for a woman to find her husband, because these sexual spirits, and every time you jump from one person to another person, you picking up a spirit along the way. You picking up a spirit. It may seem you might get your thrill off, but there's a counter cost to it. So that's why the Bible said it's good to be married than be don't do it in lust. If you feel like you can't handle it, it's good to be married, because at least you're with that significant other, so it won't keep transferring. But when men and women go from one person to another person to another person, these are spirits, and they have their own separate personalities, and you have a connection in the dream realm. You have strange dreams. That's where they get you at. That's one of the things they torment. That's what he was saying. So this is the reason why it's good to find somebody and be with that one person, and not try to be out there like some of us have learned, to try to soil your royal oats, so to speak, because there's a cost when it comes to your soul. That's what it was. But yeah, there's people that do this stuff, and it's now the last video they talking to a familiar spirit, a familiar spirit that was once on the earth, and these demonic deities will take up their personality, because somewhere along the line they attach themselves to this young woman. So now that's what happened. She must have been into stuff like that, and sometimes contacting the dead. Now you open up another door. That's why the Bible said do not that's why people shouldn't do that. Because once they're attached to you, you gotta remember it's in a different dimension. That's next to our dimension. So they could be causing chaos and things around you. You don't even know it. That's why it's not good to mess with these things. And it's also what he said, pornography. That when you watch pornography, it comes into your eyes, and that draws up spirits. And he doesn't. So I don't want to be too preachy, but we had to show you it's the reality of sexual sin. So now the Christians believe it, and even though in Islam they believe it. That's why it's good to have a spouse. But see, even if the spouse, there's a spirit that's still trying to attach it. So because they don't have a covenant with Christ. That's what's the people in Islam. So they have to use some kind of exorcism, which is basically an exorcism is like an agreement. That's what the Catholic Church did. You agree with something and it'll leave. But they don't leave for a certain amount of time. That's what the Catholic Church do. That's what they call the exorcist. But when you get with the believer, we call it out and send it back to his torment. That's what you gotta do. And you have to have a covenant, and they have to honor the law of Christ. They have to go. They don't want to go. Just like in the one when they came out, the one scripture where they come out of the men and they jump into the river. They jump into the pigs, the swine, and the swine dive over that. That's what they do. They have to go through something. It's like the movie Fallen. They got to go and have to have a body. Once that vessel is clean, and once you clean it out with deliverance, it had to be covered by the Holy Spirit, and then stay away from it, not fall back into that sin. This thing is deeper than what you think it is. That's why it's not just a ritual. Church is not just a denomination. It's not association. It's the way of life. So when people hold off, have an intimacy until they found a spouse, it don't make them weird. There's a principle behind it. There's a spiritual principle that if you don't, it will keep you bound. These spirits keep you bound. It keep you bound in your health. It can keep you bound in your finances. It can keep you bound, like he said, in other relationships. That's very true. And you wonder why you can't move ahead. Because you anticipated into it. So that's my lesson for today. They won't be too preachy, but hey, that's how they roll in the spirit realm. So please get a connection with the Yeshua HaMashiach, the Jesus Christ. Because they respect the law. They scared of them. I don't care if it's the jinns, whatever. You mention Jesus, they know in that realm it's over. Because he ruled that dimension where they're at. And they have to, and then once that person get connected in agreement, in a covenant with Christ, that jinn would have to leave. And if he don't, it's going to be a fight. And then an angel, one of God's angels, have to get him out. Say, you heard him. Time to go. The angels have to bring out a sword and march that jinn up out of it. Awesome, ain't it? That's a very important part. Have a relationship with Jesus Christ. But if you in any other place, they can keep tormenting you. But you have, it's all you connected with in the spirit realm. It's not who you connected with by religion, association. That's who you connected in the spirit. Who you connect to. Because there's good and evil. And they all know, their spirits know and ghosts know who Jesus Christ is. They see the angels. His angels too. they know not to mess with them. Alright then. So be blessed. Take care. And come to Christ. So He can protect your spirit. Take care, be blessed. See y'all next video.